and welcome to a very special Bag of Cats episode of We'll Throw the After Party, your favorite late night Saturday broadcast. And a little behind the scenes, I almost did just click end broadcast instead of turning off the intro. So that's the energy we're coming up you with today. This is, of course, a very special marriage edition of We'll Throw the After Party. So I'm joined by the lovely Alexis. How's it going?
Hi. It's great. Everything's great.
Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a day. It's been a long, chaotic, crazy day. And there's just the two of us here today, so we will not be running for the usual 2 hours. However, we have a lot of great content in store for you today, but we're gonna kick it off with the usual. Let us get settled in, relaxed, familiar. We're going to be talking about all the things we've been enjoying, barring the things that are currently struck work. Of course, we are not going to be discussing and or promoting that. SAG-AFTRA learned the difference between discussion and promotion and decide how to consistently use one of them, please, for the love of God. But
I support you, but I could support you more if you gave me a dictionary. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Things I have been enjoying is JJ's Twitter apparently being entirely Seattle Kraken. I love that for me personally. In other freaking hockey news, I did get I don't know what it's called. It's the app where it has the like digital trading cards of all the hockey peoples, and that has been consuming my life. As you know, Alexis, you've gotten all of my.
What is fun about that to me, and I mean this with love and affection for everyone involved, okay? I have a bunch of old hockey cards, right? Like from like before I was born. And for some reason, it makes sense to me that those men who in my mind are now like 100 years old have hockey cards. Seeing some of these like 21-year-old idiots on hockey cards via this app, I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Like, I just like, you're like 18. How are you a holographic hockey card? Like, it's a little mind blowing to me. Like, and I had to sit today and be like, man, like, Connor McDavid is on a hockey card. I don't know, like that should make sense, but in my brain, that like this is a man that can't dress himself like it. Why? How are you on a hockey card? It's anyway.
Exactly. The one thing I've really learned from this is how many people I just have like a completely irrational amount of pure loathing for their existence based on nothing other than the fictional portrayals of them in my silly little stories. I got a certain person's card twice, and every time I was like, oh, fuck you. I don't want your card. I know nothing about this man.
One of my teaching critiques from last semester was that like I have a difficult time explaining big concepts to like people who don't communicate or think about things the way that I do. But I don't know how to better explain confirmation bias than that. Like I have read fics about these people. I have decided how I felt about them. And then someone will say something innocuous and I'll be like, I was right. He didn't throw a hat down when his son got a hat trick. He is the devil. Like, doesn't matter that like he said these other positive things. Like I give zero shits. That is confirmation bias.
Yeah, it's been great. You've been enjoying a couple of video games. That's very exciting for me personally.
Yeah, it's your fault. So I'm not excited to you. A Little to the Left is a game that I played, I don't know, a while ago, like right around when it first came out. I can't remember when it was, but I didn't really talk about it on the show because, we don't really talk about that kind of stuff. But It, for those of you who don't know, is a game that you play on the computer and you get to organize shit in a house. So if you know anything about me, you know that that is a very therapeutic experience and it prevents me from reorganizing my own house. And there's also a cat that periodically comes along and is a cat and messes everything you've done up and you have to start over. And they released like an expansion packy thing.
DLC.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what those letters stand for. Downloadable something?
Deluxe content?
Anyway, they put those little boogers. That was just the drawers, which is even better. And I forced myself to play it slowly, which means I finished it in like 3 days instead of 3 hours. So I really enjoyed that. And then I've been playing Myrtle, which is funny because I saw a TikTok about this. I sent it to Sly. Sly was like, this is a fantastic idea. And I was like, I'm never going to play this. And then I started playing it, and I think I've played it every day. I don't know if you've played it or not.
I've played it like 2 or 3 times.
But
I really want the book. The website's not super doing it for how my brain works.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's a logic game about murder, and you can play it on. I don't know why I said that like that about murder. You can play it online. Yeah, right. And you can also order the book. And I will say, I expected the book to be like, my grandparents always had those like crossword books that were like, I don't know, yay big. I expected it to be a real thin book. It is like a novel. I mean, the thing is huge.
I'm looking at my bookshelf because I thought I had like a Sudoku one somewhere, but I'm not seeing it to grab.
Yeah, but this one is huge. I mean, it's it's big. And it has like 100 some puzzles. It's got like a key and hints, and it's a great time. I suggest everybody, I recommend everybody buy it. The only thing that is getting me, and I mention this because this is also an issue in our marriage, is that I want to skip to the game part. So I read none of the build up to the game. Like the book is very much organized like as a story. So you're supposed to like read the intro. You're supposed to read the little notes from the authors, and you're supposed to read all of the clue cards. And I have to force myself to do that. Like I'm going straight to the murder. I give zero shits about this like complicated plot. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that, but that's what I enjoyed game-wise this week.
I love that for you. I also played a video game. I say that like I only played one. I sat down and played No Longer Home, which was great. I had downloaded it. Like I bought it forever ago. I downloaded it probably a couple months ago to like sit down and play. And then I looked at the description and I was like, that's gonna hit a little too close to home. I don't know why I decided now was a good time to play it. It did hit way too close to home, but the story was very good. It's really compact in a good way. The story is very insular. It pretty much exclusively takes place in one apartment, and it's very much like the style of 2D drawings, like all the backgrounds are 2D, and then the way the rooms occupy space is really interesting. So you can flip the rooms like 90 degrees in every direction. And there are different pieces of the apartment you can interact with and get like story beats about. And it's told through the eyes of these 2 flatmates in London talking about like life and college and capitalism and gender and immigration, and it's just really good. And I think I put about 2.5, maybe 3 hours in it. I don't know. My game clock's all messed up because I opened it up to sit down and play one day, and then I walked away from my computer for 3 hours, forgetting it existed, came back, and then there was a game open on my computer, and I went, huh, I don't remember opening that. And then I sat down and played it. So, like, who knows? But that's been fun. And then in the world of mobile gaming, I've been talking about Marvel Snap for like 5 million years and how I like am playing it obsessively. You know what I have not been playing this week? Marvel Snap, and that is the fault of one DC's new match battler called Heroes and Villains, which is pretty much what it says on the tin. It's like a character puzzle match battler. So you have like a team of 5. There's the like 5 different colors or whatever. You're doing the little like match slidey puzzles things to attack your opponents or whatever. It's like it's fine. It's not great. And I don't know like how long it will keep me past like a couple months. But one thing I will say about it is it does not have a resource scarcity problem. And a lot of these games, especially when they come out, will have it does have limited like energy you can spend, limited times you can engage with like the battles or challenges or whatever, but I never feel like I'm running out while I'm still like engaged in it. I have plenty of energy to do all of the things I want to do every time I open it, and that is really nice. And I don't usually feel that way about most like mobile games that pop up and I play for like 5 seconds. What's my team? That is a great question because it rotates depending on like who you're playing against, what colors are recommended or whatever. But I do have my like top favorites, and some of them have. I'm talking way too long about this game. That's like maybe a 7 or an 8. No, 8's way too high. It's like a 7 out of 10. But some of the characters have really interesting synergies. So if you play them together, like at the same time, you get like a defense boost or whatever. My top characters right now are Nightwing and Donna Troy because they play well together. Cheshire Jade is like my top healer. I'm rocking Nubia a lot and Artemis because they also pair well together. And yeah, that's most of my top team. So that's been Sly's DC corner. What else have you been enjoying, Alexis?
Sorry, JJ said there were thirst traps, and I went to look at them so I could, because sometimes I'm like I need JJ to tell me what I'm supposed to find attractive. So JJ was like, there's thirst traps. And I was like, oh, I need to go look so I can understand this cultural moment. Anyway.
That is absolutely not a thirst trap. I vehemently disagree.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but when have I ever gotten it? I started re-listening to the Black Tapes podcast, which I usually don't do until the fall. I have different opinions about it this time around, and I still love it very much. I will still listen to it over and over again, but I am kind of trying to figure out, like, it's given me a lot of like thoughts to parse through. But yeah, that's a radio drama that I talk about on here all the time, so I feel like everybody knows what it's about. But it is essentially like an NPR style radio host is investigating the paranormal while getting involved in an international conspiracy and really just wanting to share a glass of wine with her much older interview subject. And I think there are so many things that I'm like taking away and things that I am still not taking away. Not once in the 70 times that I've listened to this show does it ever occur to me that Richard Strand is twice Alice Reagan's age. Like, until I get to the end. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, every time I forget. This time it has really stood out to me that Nick Silver is the least interesting character, and he is yet the character with the most spin-offs, and that's just kind of making me mad. So that's kind of where we're at with that. But I enjoyed re-listening to that this week.
We love Pal Bay. All of Pal Bay's things. Very fun. In more JJ news, JJ made me a playlist this week, and it's very good, and I've been listening to it a lot. And the reason this happened, and I was like, "Hey JJ, will you introduce me to Conan Gray?" And then JJ was like, "Bet, here's this giant playlist to listen to." And so I've been doing that, and I have a lot of thoughts, and none of them are at a place to be articulated. That's where we're at.
Cool.
Do you have any?
Cool. Awesome. Love that for you.
Do you have any final things you've been enjoying?
Music not that I'm willing to talk about on the internet. Last night I was like, I'm kind of shameless on the internet, and then I read some stuff and I was like, apparently I do have shame. So
that's so funny because I know what you're reading, and it's one of my favorite things of all time, and I also just reread it.
Well, I finished that, and that was fine. I would probably talk about that on the internet.
I don't want you to talk about that on the internet.
I will not talk about on the internet.
That's so valid. Sometimes you just fall down the rabbit hole and you don't particularly love where it takes you.
The fuck did I end up here? Whoops.
Yeah. The only other thing I've been doing this week is I checked out the book In Every Mirror She's Black, which is written by I want to say Nigerian woman living in Sweden, and it's the story of these. Don't make that face at me. It's the story of these 3 Black women in Sweden and their life and their experiences. I will, however, say, before you ever touch or pick up this book, don't do what I do and skip the content warnings. Please, for the love of God, read the content warnings on this book, because there were multiple moments where I vocally out loud said, "Oh my God," and then looked up all the content warnings for the book. And I really should have done that in the reverse order. However, it is very good. Just be mindful. There's a lot of potentially triggering content, especially in the first 3 chapters. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see life and existence and the country in general from these 3 very different perspectives. So yeah, I will hopefully let y'all know what I think when I finish it next week. And JJ has a point about the thirst traps being acceptable coffee table photography books. That is a great point. I do follow a deaf photographer on Instagram that does a lot of photography with nude or very partially clothed models in a very artistic way. So I guess I just don't see things that are done artistically as thirst traps.
I am now having an existential crisis because I am in coffee table books that are very similar to that, and not once has it occurred to me in 13 years that would be a thirst trap for anyone. So that's wow, some life choices Alexis is reevaluating live on air.
I love that for you. With that, we're gonna reevaluate some more life choices by jumping into the things we want to rant about this week. And I'm not doing a timer because I'm lazy and that's too much work. So we're just gonna both talk at each other for about 2 minutes about a topic of our choice. So Alexis, what are you ranting about this week?
I'm ranting about golf carts in Florida. Now, I do think this rant is going to go a couple different directions. And you may be thinking, Alexis, why are you so passionate about golf carts in Florida? And to you, I would say, if you watch previous episodes, I think you can figure it out. But that's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. And I'm talking about why roots are the best flavor. And before I get into this, I want to say for the record, I am very used to typing on the point in progress like Google account. I often just type directly on the We'll Throw the After Party Google account, and I know for a fact that the point in progress Google account is set to Canadian settings. And I was under the impression that the We'll Throw the After Parties account was also set to Canadian settings. So I was typing out why roots are the best flavor directly into the doc. And I was like, I don't want to deal with the red squiggly line telling me I spelled this wrong. So I spelled flavor with a U. And then it told me I was incorrect. And so I added a note saying, WTF, I thought our Google was Canadian. And I just needed everybody to acknowledge that because I thought it was funny.
It was very funny. My Alexa randomly picks up languages, which is just a great fun trick that I wish she wouldn't do. And so, like, sometimes I get the news in Spanish, and I'm like, why is this happening today?
Incredible. All right. Alexis, tell me about golf carts.
Okay, are you interrupting me, or am I just going on for about 2 minutes?
I'll stop you about 2 minutes in.
Okay. So people want me to care. Men want me to care about grown men driving golf carts to work in Florida. That's how we're going to put that sentence. And I just think there are a lot of other fucking things in Florida that I should be concerned about. Like the lack of all rights for LGBTQIA plus individuals. There's like this town where some woman had to move and she just dumped her pet rabbits that were not spayed and neutered in the street, and they procreated, and now this town is trying to exterminate like 300 bunny rabbits. I'm really concerned about that. Daily, there's a man accidentally getting eaten by an alligator. I mean, I'm not really that concerned, but I would be more concerned about that than a grown-ass man choosing to drive a golf cart to work in Florida. And here's the thing. If you live close to your place of work and you have a home that is beach-like, that has like a putting green, it just makes sense to me that you throw on your Prada slides and you drive a golf cart to work. That makes more sense than anything else going on in Florida. We vacation in Florida all the time. We will drive a golf cart like from wherever we're staying to the beach or like to the snack shack. It's equidistant. I checked today to make sure I wasn't making that up. It is equidistant. So I don't know why that is socially acceptable, but it is not acceptable to save the environment by lowering carbon emissions and taking your little root golf cart to work. It's like the most normal thing about this person. I don't understand. Alta.
I just need you to. Are you comfortable sharing everything on your second point after the at?
Yeah, yes. What does it say? Hang on. And they're voting to murder, and you want me to judge a man using a golf cart? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. I also have, it's fucking Florida.
Yeah. It's Florida. it very much reads these grown-ass men who have nothing better to do with their lives than talk about their favorite, like, celebrities, like their teen gossip magazine on the internet, knowing nothing about the culture of Florida. Like,
Oh, the other thing I was going to say is that I worked in a estate sale today where not one, not two, but 3 people showed up at the estate sale to buy goods on their tractor. 3 different tractors showed up at this estate sale, and no one batted an eye. So I don't know why a golf cart in Florida is a big fucking deal.
Yeah, very much. You know how often I see farm vehicles on the fucking highway? Like, a golf cart is nothing.
You do you. Like, put on your bedazzled sling and your Prada slides and drive your little ass to work in your golf cart. Like, more power to you, bud.
All right. I haven't thought through this rant at all, so we're just gonna see how it goes. This, of course, is why roots are the best flavor. Starting off strong, we have ginger. I fucking love ginger. I love ginger so much. Ginger beer, ginger tea, anything with ginger in it. Why are you making a face at me? I really like ginger. It's one of my favorite flavors, and it's a root, so that makes it the best. Another great root, you got taro. I fucking adore taro. This is just gonna be me talking about all of my favorite things. It's like my go-to bubble tea flavor. Like, if I'm getting bubble tea and they don't have taro, I'm questioning their life choices. Like, it's just like, it's so good. Taro everything. I need more taro in my life, honestly. I don't have enough taro in my life. And then next I have sassafras, which I Googled to make sure I was spelling correctly, because I love root beer, especially like a craft root beer, big root beer fan. And in my Googling to see if I was spelling sassafras correctly, which for the record, I was, I discovered that apparently it has a carcinogenic element in it and is no longer used in root beer. So whatever the craft root beer brewers are using instead of sassafras is now my new answer on my favorite roots. So that was a fun time. You learn something new every day. Next I have horseradish. I fucking adore horseradish, especially like an extra spicy horseradish. I put horseradish on everything. It's the only way I eat most red meat is if it has a thick layer of horseradish on top. And like usually I'm just eating it to get the horseradish into my mouth. Big fan of horseradish. So those are my Sly's top favorite roots. Thank you for coming to my list talk.
Thank you for sharing that. I learned so much. For context, as of yesterday, I didn't know there was more than one root. So I learned
There's
a lot.
so many root vegetables, my dude. Carrots, potatoes.
Well, yeah, but like you were like root beer. I'm going to talk about my favorite roots, and I was like, what the hell? There's more than one. You said some words. I couldn't tell you what horseradish looks like. Like I don't know that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to Google a picture of horseradish. Hold, please.
I have never had root beer in my life. I do have ginger, but I have ginger because the guy that played my Mr. Darcy was like a natural health nut, and he loved ginger. So I ever since that I've taken like ginger in my tea and ginger in my smoothies.
Ginger is great.
Oh God,
it's so good for you. This is horseradish.
I don't like that situation at all.
It's fucking delicious.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
I saw wasabi up there. I do like wasabi.
It's just like, I don't know, a spicy spread that you can put on things.
Why was my response to that? I'm a spicy spread you can put on things.
On that note,
moving on.
We're gonna jump into our new favorite segment, your new favorite segment. This is Sly and Alexis Hockey Corner.
Oh, I was like, what's our new segment? Please know, listeners, that I do have a show doc. Like, I'm just really like not with it today. Continue, my
I love that for you. So we have a list of like things that we each want to talk about separately. But before we get into that, we also have what questions we would ask players if we ever got media availability. And we're just going to put these out into the universe. And if you, by chance, listening to this, are somebody who works media for any sports team, it really doesn't matter. Feel free to steal these questions.
Also, if you're in the audience and you have questions, like, join in the game.
Yeah, please add your questions that you would like to ask professional sports players. However, with the caveat that we are not trying to get a clickbaity soundbite. We're not trying to make people uncomfortable. It's very much all in good fun, good vibes, not invasive, not weird or creepy questions.
Yeah, and part of my energy was like, if I was on Tumblr, what would I want to know?
Yes. Absolutely. All right, you want to kick us off with our first question?
Okay, I will say that some of these were just like me trying to come up with examples. And so I was like, that's a question. Our first question is, do you match your socks? And I think that it's like, do you match your socks when you're playing? Like, do you match your socks at home? Do you only wear one pair of socks that is riddled with holes because they stopped making them and you just don't want to admit to it? So you say that they're lucky, even though we all know that they're not. Just tell me about your socks. That was our first question.
Yep. And that one's so important to me personally, as a person who wears 0 pairs of socks ever, and you personally as someone who wears like 3 pairs of socks at the same time.
Yeah. Also very important to me.
Next we have Coke or Pepsi, which I think is a great alternative to the like ridiculous like pineapple on pizza. Nobody cares about pineapple on pizza. Stop. Oh my god, this was the thing when Threads had its like first day. Everybody was doing the new social media thing of post your most controversial opinions so people get traction, blah 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 blah, growing a platform. I think it's dumb.
That's the soundbite. I think it's dumb.
I think that it's such a worn out argument. It's like everybody has an opinion one way or another, but we don't need to hear for the millionth time how you feel about certain foods on certain foods. However, Coke versus Pepsi is interesting. It could be a regional thing. It could be this is the brand that's affiliated with my favorite restaurant thing. It just gives you more information about people in a way that's not like, here, tread out this same argument on the internet for the 5 millionth time. Anyways.
Valid.
You want to take the next one?
I want to know about pregame snacks and meals. But when I wrote that, I realized that that is a question that's asked a lot. And people talk about like slurping maple syrup in between bouts. That's not what I meant. That quote, what I really wanted to know, dear listeners, was where to find the best. I don't even know if I should say this live on air without warning you, but what I really wanted to know was where to find the best Philly cheesesteak in Pennsylvania. And the only way I could figure out how to generalize that question was to talk to me about pregame meals, local edition. I also think it lets us lead into some like interesting like the pint in Edmonton conversations that I would love to have. So yeah.
Let's take a shot every time Alexis mentions the fucking pint.
Liz, I'm gonna reveal Liz information. But I sent Liz social media, like an Instagram post from the Pint. And Liz was like, it is so weird that you are getting information from the Pint in Edmonton. And I was like, well, I follow them. And Liz was like, why? So then I had to like reveal a bunch of lore to Liz that I assumed she would know because she was in Canada. And it was mind-boggling to her. So that is now a personal place of pride for me.
Oh my God. I do, however, love this because it's a really great opportunity for players to talk about their favorite local places in a way that's going to really help them support and foster the local economy in a really great way. And I know like sometimes they'll do like little things with restaurants. I'm thinking specifically about like Seattle sports teams. Oh, hold please.
Thank you, holding.
Oh my God. The Wild Rose, which is a bar in Seattle, did a special Super special edition t-shirt for her freaking retirement weekend.
Woo woo!
But yeah, big fan of that. What's next? Oh my God. Okay, so you all listeners need context for the next question because it has inspired so many thoughts in my brain. I read a certain fan fiction about a certain group of characters, like fictionalized versions of these people that I forget are real humans, and in it there was an author's note on one of the chapters that I have thought of every single day since I read it months ago. It has inspired so many different projects that are living fictionally in my brain, has inspired an entire social media series idea for if/when I ever get hired by any sort of sports team ever. It has stuck with me in such a meaningful way. And what it said was Brady Kachuk just looks like a guy who would be allergic to fruit. Okay.
Please know that when this wedding happens, I will be trying to sleuth out the menu on the internet to see if fruit is included.
So, look, I would love to just ask Matthew Kachuk if Brady is the person who looks like he'd be allergic to fruit, but I also, Alexis brought this up, I want to ask other players, like his teammates or whatever, phrase it like a statement, Brady Kachuk is allergic to fruit, right? And see how many people just and move on without ever stopping to question it.
Or would it be an A? Would it be like Brady Kachuk is allergic to fruit, eh? Like I feel like that's the direction it goes. Anyway.
Yeah, I have that author's note has also sparked me. I can't believe I'm admitting to this live on air. Trying to figure out a social media campaign plan to convince the world that Brady Kachuk is in fact allergic to fruit.
There were other things included in that author's note that I just accept as facts. Like, I'm like, that is factual. Like, but that is one that I'm like, no, I'm curious. Like, I do need like a definitive answer to this. One of them was such and such player just looks like a person that would like onions, and he does. Like, he just likes onions now. Like, full stop.
Yeah, incredible. All right, what's our next question for the players?
Hang on. Oh, okay. You fix this one for me because you love me. Who are 3 people in the sport that you haven't played with that you would like to grab a beer with? That is very important to me. I want to know what those answers are. I think hockey, maybe more so than other sports, is in this situation where like a lot of people know each other in different contexts. like they have rented out each other's houses when they were switching teams, or they played together in like juniors but haven't played together like since then, or they played together and they were traded. Like that type of stuff is happening all the time. Or they're on competing teams but they end up in the same wedding party. And I am, this wedding is a big deal to me. So I think that question and answer, I think there could be some interesting answers there. Yeah.
It would also be great for the plot.
I am now looking at the picture below it, which we're not going to discuss on air, and being like, no, that's another excellent reason to ask that question.
All right, we got some great questions in the chat. What is Connor McDavid reading? That's assuming he has any space in his brain for anything other than hockey.
I have
if you could inspire a queer story, what would it look like? I want somebody to ask Alex Wenberg this question. Actually, I want somebody to ask his wife this question. However.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyways, another great one from JJ. Subird promoting Mrs. Subird this weekend. Very important to me personally. They're so fucking cute. If you are following, I was going to say this later, but if you are following the World Cup and you are not following Subird's Instagram story about Megan Rapinoe, you're missing out on like most of the great content.
They're married?
They're engaged?
Okay, cool. Awesome. Love to know that.
They're together, and they've been together for a long time.
Okay. They are two people I know about separately, so I had not realized that they are very fantastic.
Yes. Megan Rapinoe had like a 5-hour-long speech at the Jersey retirement, and it was great.
Also, shout out to the bestie on TikTok who is only covering the World Cup by talking about the lesbian relationship drama. They have made my life today. Like, I know nothing that's actually going on with the soccer.
I'm pretty sure that's the same person who I keep seeing on my For You page, and then a couple hours later, I will get the video in my DMs from JJ, and I do watch it an entire time all the way over again, and it's so great.
Fantastic.
Right. What? There's a jump scare in the show doc.
It jump scared me because I thought I took it out. And I just it's still there.
All right. The next one we have is, what is one of your pregame/game rituals? And what is the most unique pregame ritual you've seen? I love this because I think it ties into really well one of the things I would do if I was a social media coordinator, and like during like the mid-season or whatever, really highlight some of the fun, cute player interactions, player traditions that happen or develop throughout the course of the season. And I think that would be a really fun way to call back and reference that in really fun ways.
I like that you had a really like thought out reason for that, because my reason for that was that I wanted, there's a fic with the kissing of the gloves with Johnny Gaudreau, and I just wanted to know if that was actually a thing. That's where that question came from. Okay,
cool. I have a gift somewhere I can send you. No, that's absolutely a thing. That was one of the examples when I did my big social media coordinator rant.
Yes.
That was like a specific example, was the glove kiss. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Oh shit, it's my turn. Hang on.
Yeah, and I have no idea what you meant by this one, so you have to explain it.
Okay. So there have been a lot of videos from like the NHL's TikTok and like Sports Center's TikTok. Well, where players will be asked to like name as many like Vezina winners as you can in like 20 seconds, or like, you know, whatever, and they like time them. But I think that the NHL is such a national multicultural sport, and we don't talk about that. I think that's to the detriment in a couple ways. Like xenophobia is a thing that we'll talk about later, but like just a general detriment. And I would guarantee you that a lot of these guys can say like good luck in 6 languages, or like fuck you in 6 languages, but like nothing else. And so I really want a question that's like, you have 20 seconds to say like something in as many different languages as you can, or like as many different phrases as you can in different languages, to kind of see like what's going on there.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Thank you.
I'm stealing that if I ever get hired.
It's yours. What's mine is yours.
This one was also one of yours. It's about stick taping. Like, why do you tape like your blade or your handle like the way you do? Who did you learn that from? Why did you make that choice? How did you come out to the answer that this was the perfect way for you to thrive? Which is really funny because I was rereading all of my notes from dev camp. Um, in preparation for other thoughts I wanted to share later, and I did come across a thought I had while I was watching the live scrimmage, and during that, somebody's stick broke, and then, like, maybe 15 minutes later, like a significant time later, I was like, I feel like I would be emotionally attached to my stick and would not handle it breaking well. And then put a disclaimer. This is like, I've been thinking about this since the stick broke, and this is way later.
So. I saw a video, some like AHL players, youngin, is playing like rec league hockey, and it's taping their stick like somebody else, and it's like a competitor of their father, right? And the father is like, I love that. I want you to tape your stick like this, and he's like, I saw the video where like so and so did it. I can't remember anybody's name, and I was like, oh my god, I need to know, like, do some of these legacies like intentionally tape it like their fathers, or intentionally not tape it like their dads? Like, what is the like? Yeah, I need to know. I've got a lot of questions.
Me too. There was a video of like women hockey in I don't know where, talking about I think the question was who on the team would you let tape your stick or not let tape your stick or whatever, and had really interesting, like, like one person just puts like a sticker on the blade, one person does a weird band thing. Like, it's just so fascinating and definitely plays into the whole ritual of the sport.
Yeah, my hockey boys that I teach are told how to tape it. They don't like it's like a team mandated thing, which I thought was interesting. They tape a lot of sticks while I teach, but it was like, yeah, like there was a kid that he was like, well, I don't want to tape it this way, but like they're all like we all tape it this way. And I was like, what we do? And I was like, wow, that's also interesting. Like how you would, like, both mentally and physically. I think that would be an interesting thing.
Another note I had in my dev camp notes was I don't think I could ever play a sport where I was required to tape my socks. That's just not a thing I think I could personally handle, and I think that's weird. Like the way
I love that, because I found out that they taped their socks, and I was like, that is a great idea. Can I get away with that on an everyday basis? And I decided that I couldn't, and I've been really sad ever since. So
I love that for us. All right, now it's all the questions we have. Let's see if we have. Oh, how many mouth guards Matthew Tkachuk goes through in a season? That would be a fun charity raffle thing where if you collect all of them over the course of the season, put it and do one of those like counter thing. Why am I giving away all of my ideas free on the internet?
I also want to know how long he just chews on the same one.
Yeah,
because I also think he's a man that's like, it's falling in half, it's fine, and then somebody else has to be like, no.
And yes, Seabird and Dragon Rapino is JJ and I's OTP. We both love both of them so deeply and personally from two very different sports. And it's like the one thing we agree on is that they are the world's power couple.
I would like you to know that when I read that, because it was after the comment above it, I assumed that JJ was saying that Maddie and his mouth guards were urine size OTP. And I was like, did not know that JJ cared about it like that. Fascinating.
Oh, I'm also stealing this one. Post-game ritual of another player that you wish you came up with.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That might be a fic. I love that.
Oh man. Well, since I've been giving away all of my social media ideas free on the internet, Alexis, how would you fix the Oilers failing at social media?
They suck. I say that as a woman who loves the Edmonton Oilers, okay? Your social media is terrible. I'm watching all these other teams do the same thing, right? Like this has been I think there's been an uptick in the similarity since like dev camps have started and like we went through the draft. It was like everybody's asking their draftees the same questions. Like everybody is, doing the same sort of like development camp coverage. And I'm like, okay. And then this is kind of getting like a samey, but that's fine. Like I am now expecting this from every team, right? So I'm like, okay, fascinating. I wonder what Taylor Swift song the Oilers rookies like, but I'll never find out because they haven't posted anything for like 6 months. And what they posted was a highlight from SportsCenter of Connor McDavid getting a puck in the goal. Woohoo! That hasn't happened 153 other times in the last year. So like just the way I would fix it is I would have you do something. That's the way I would fix it. Just
anything.
Do anything. If somebody else is doing it, just do it. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
And make Connor McDavid give you a Taylor Swift song. Make him do it.
I know he was asked by the Too Many Men crew at the All-Star game this year. I can't remember if he actually answered, but he did blatantly lie to their faces about being asked that question a million times over the course of the weekend.
I looked it up on Tumblr, and I think if anybody would know, it would be the Tumblr girlies asterisk. And they were like, who's to say? And I was like, that's because he hasn't said. And here's my thing, okay? I don't blame women, and I support women's rights and women's wrongs. However, if you are going to wear all denim to a Morgan Wallen concert, you can listen to at least enough Taylor Swift songs to give your fiance like a vague answer to that question.
That's so valid.
And Sasha Barkov handled it well. So Connor McDavid can do something. It's insulting me. It's insulting to me as a fan of Connor McDavid.
You know what was insulting to me personally?
Me being a fan of Connor McDavid?
Well, no. But it was you sending me a TikTok that you apparently did not read, but did call me the fuck out.
No, I got far enough in to know that it was going to call you out. I just didn't finish it.
And the text on that TikTok read, "This song is for the girls who are convinced that their 23-year-old emotional support AHL prospect is still going to turn into an NHL superstar." And listen, I get emotionally attached to some people, and I usually get more emotionally attached to people who are like middling to okay in the highest level of their sport. Like those are my favorite people. Like if you are like a really solid like middle to lower third in your sport, I will be your biggest fan. I will be your number one supporter.
Hey, I pick on you, but some people might say that there are certain NHL players in the middle to bottom third of their sport that became really big commentators. And if that can happen, your AHL bestie can make it to the NHL.
Well, okay, here's the thing. My AHL bestie did make it to the NHL for part of 2 different seasons, and then immediately fucked off to, Switzerland. So,
Valid choice, though. Valid choice.
I'm so happy for him. I hope it goes so well. But I saw that and immediately started Googling how to watch the Swiss National League from the States and only found one very sketchy website. And so, like, we're going through it.
I feel like we can figure that out.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun adventure when that starts up.
We're on the internet. I feel like we can completely legally and ethically figure out a way for you to do that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did you have another point you wanted to get into?
Oh God, did I? Sorry, I can't have. There are too many things on my screen, and I keep. Oh yeah, I learned some shit. Do we want to do this now, or do you want to talk and let me do this later? It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, okay. I will do my the last point I've written down. You're gonna do your shit you learned, and then I'm gonna do baby squid to look out for.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my next point is Lexi Brown, PhD, is doing more to grow the sport of hockey than the entirety of an NHL, especially the fucking NHL Governors Board. Dr. Lexi Brown is out here making things understandable, making them approachable, providing information. Most of her content is captioned, so it's accessible. Queer icon, my favorite bicon. She's just doing so many great things, and I adore her. And she's doing so much for the NHL for free, and just because she loves the sport and has been around it for so long. And I feel like she needs to get more props for that. So this is my all the like admins, front office, owners, whatever, get your shit together and get on Dr. Lexi's level.
She also has fantastic taste in wallpaper that I've really wanted to leave a comment about, but I'm petrified she's just going to say something like Absolutely. It came with the house and I'm going to be devastated. And she has also provided me, how do I want to put this? I have learned that opinions that I have are hot takes because of things that she has said. Like she'll say something and I'll be like, what? That's not a thing. I think it should be a thing. Now I have a hot take. She also made a comment about hotel rooms and how hotel rooms work when people are traveling. However, there are other interviews with other players where they contradict that, and that opened a whole can of worms for me about why that was the case. So Dr. Lexi Brown out here enabling me to start conspiracy theories as well, which is great for me personally.
Not to squash your conspiracy theories, because we are pro conspiracy theories, but I think that point in particular has to do with A, seniority, and B, how much money each team makes. And it differs from team to team.
I think what was funny about it to me, so there's a show that I'm not going to name because strike, but there was a show that we talk about sometimes where there was an assumption that something happened during COVID and we just all went with it. And there are interviews from there was an assumption that a certain rooming situation happened during the lockdown.
Oh, okay.
And we were all like, yeah, right? But then there are hockey interviews that imply that similar situations happened during lockdown. And I was like, now I've got lots of questions. Because the way you said it sounded like everybody was doing it. And the way Dr. Lexi Brown said it sounded like not everybody was doing it. And that is enough for my little fangirl heart to go a long, long way.
I love that for you. All right. Now, please do me a favor and tell me about all of the things you learned by listening to Men Bleh, so I don't have to.
Okay, yes. So everyone, and I mean everyone, I I at first thought this was a podcast specific thing. Like I thought I was just listening. What?
Who the fuck is Jake Zimmerman?
I thought I was just listening to like a podcast that had this point of view. But then every podcast that I listened to with men, so like The Athletic, The Empty Netters, Spittin' Chicklets, all of them, at some point, the men on these podcasts talk about how attractive Henrik Lundqvist is. And we'll just flat out be like, he is hot as hell. That is a quote.
Love him.
Right? And like, he is hot. Like,
He's
I'm not
very hot.
this. Granted, he became more hot after I learned how many accomplishments he had, but we can discuss that at a later date. He is attractive. What is funny to me is that all of these men think that he is hot as hell. They think that all men think that he is hot as hell, and they also think they're all straight. And those things cannot all be statistically accurate at the same time.
You are making such a great point, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell JJ is talking about because I have zero clue. Do you have any idea what's going on here?
Zimmerman, boyfriend of Southern Baker?
I don't know who any of these people are, and I'm just very confused. Anyways. Oh, I don't know anybody's names from Check Please.
Oh, okay. That is not what came up in my Google search. So I'm glad that was answered.
Okay, Check Please. I loved Check Please. I had a great time with Check Please. I don't remember anybody's names, just their vibes.
I got motivational speaker, author, and combat wounded veteran. Jack Zimmerman.
I got St. Louis County assessor. So I love that for us. Anyways, as I was saying, Henrik Lundqvist is very hot. And coming from me, that says a lot. And he has great style. He has excellent ties. And I'm a big fan. And anybody thinking he's hot is not straight. Like that is from any point in the spectrum, liking that man is queer, and I stand by it.
And like, really quick, since we're already over our hour, I will say that this started with a conversation from the Empty Netters about the Las Vegas Cup celebration. And they had said that they went to a club that wasn't like a hockey club. Like most of the people there were just there in Las Vegas. Like they did not know about hockey. And Hank walked into the building and everybody, like man, woman, did not matter, was throwing themselves at this man who was wearing a leather jacket in Vegas. And the way the story went, I was like, okay, so they're seeing that other people think he's attractive. Like that's fine. The most recent episode of that podcast, they were just like, he's hot as hell. And they asked their guest, who is a former NHL player, don't you think? And the guy was like, he is the hottest man I've ever seen in my life. And then they were all kind of like, no homo. And I was like, the fuck is happening? I mean, I shouldn't say, I don't know how they identify, but it was giving me very like straight vibes. And I was like, okay, sure. So that's the first thing that I've learned on podcasts where men speak to other men. The second is this Chris bestie, who I should know because he's a super famous hockey player, and he played for the Canadiens and the Blackhawks and the Red Wings, and he won a couple Stanley Cups, and he crashed a car and lied about it and fled to the States when he was traded and never got caught, but admitted it live in a podcast. And at that time, you couldn't travel with the Stanley Cup, so he stole it off the back of a truck. He also thinks Taryn Tkachuk is the greatest Tkachuk sibling, and I thought that was important to share on it.
Yes, she is the best Tkachuk sibling, and I stand by that. She's the only Tkachuk sibling I follow on Instagram.
Perfect. I love that for you. Wish that was me. Love that for you personally. I also learned that Youngblood, which I thought was a vampire movie, is actually a hockey movie with Rob Lowe, which was a startling thing to figure out while I was running on the treadmill listening to hockey podcasts. Nate Thompson, who has been on too many teams to name, he's played everywhere, besties. He confirmed the Alaska Boy to Seattle Kraken fan pipeline, that like that was an actual thing, and talked a lot about how people that have played in Alaska are just fans of all Seattle hockey, so like at any level, right? So I thought that was really cool. He discussed getting a sleeve tattoo, an entire sleeve done across a 2-day period between 2 playoff games, and was just like it was a choice I made, and I was like, wow, yeah. He started this like concierge service for hockey players in the sport, particularly like new guys, like not guys that have just like moved up or moving around, where they like set you up with houses and like provide meals and mental health care and like all of this, like get you contacted with mental health services and stuff. It was really cool. And he has been sober for 5 years, which I think is great. He also accidentally announced his retirement on this podcast. And I thought when he said, I guess I haven't really said that yet, like he was kind of joking, but I listened to this podcast several days ago and the NHL just announced it an hour before this show started.
We love soft launching a retirement.
It is, honestly, it's a great interview. I mean, the Empty Netters is a men's podcast to me that is not like a men's podcast. Like it's like I will never really recommend men, but like it's fine, like it's good, it's funny. It's one that I actually enjoy. Like I don't listen to it for the information, I enjoy it, and that is an interview I would recommend. It's a very good interview. Next, I learned in The Athletic that xenophobia is a thing. And yeah, I mean, I knew that, but they didn't think I knew that. So they were teaching me to listen that xenophobia was a thing. And the reason that this came up is because a certain German player is maybe the second best player in the NHL, but nobody talks about it. Like they name all of these other players instead. And The Athletic poses that this is because he's German. And that if he was North American, he wouldn't be as in the shadow as he is considered to be, right? But instead of just being like, we should solve xenophobia, right? Their response was, I think he should switch teams and move to America. As if that's going to go any better. And I just thought that was really such a creative solution to xenophobia.
Solution is a strong word for that choice.
Yeah, they also unironically were like, yeah, not many people know about like his life, like who he is as a person, which I find extra. I know a lot about his life, so that was interesting to me. They're like, you know, and the example that they use as like an example of things that people don't know. To me, it's an incredibly xenophobic example, which I also found hilarious. So they say not a lot of people know about his pissy comment that he made last season. So this player was asked why he looked pissy all the time, and he kind of snapped off about how the team isn't doing well. My argument would be that was a xenophobic comment, that you wouldn't say the same thing to a North American player that looked grumpy. Like you were applying it to record.
Yeah. The journalist who asked that question is notable for asking bad questions to players, which is the first problem. And B, Dry was just like minding his business, answering the questions he was asked. And then the reporter was like, why are you being so pissy? And he's like, I'm answering the questions. You asked me the question and I answered. What do you want from me?
So to me, like, I don't know that people would have responded the same way if he had not been German. Like, I think a lot of that comes from like this stereotype of how Germans react in situations. The Athletic, that went straight over their heads. That was just an example of a thing I should know. Other examples of things that I may or may not have known that would not have been xenophobic would be like, not many people know he's afraid of the fucking ocean. Not
that.
many people know that his stick blade is one of the biggest in the NHL, and they may pass rules about it. Not many people know he has a house in Spain. Not many people know his girlfriend is best friends with Connor McFucking David's fiance. These are all questions. These are all statements that are not xenophobic. That would have been good examples there. But I think there's something else I learned on this list. So I was passionate about that one. Oh,
yeah, it's about the new Connor that I'm boycotting all Connors. Sorry, all Connors in the NHL. I don't care about any of you anymore. There's too many of you.
That has 2 Connors on it. I'm like, the hell am I supposed to do with that, besties? Connor Bedard, who I will say, I will probably not speak much about because I just think the kid needs a break. Like, I just think we need to talk about him less and let him do shit. But Min informs me that he is a hockey robot that was made in a lab. Min also informed me that he is attractive because he is sociable. Now, I don't know if you've met many robots, but typically people are described as robots because they do not play well with others. It's sometimes a synonym for autism. So I think it's really fascinating that we're like, this guy's a hockey robot, but he's really friendly. Like, because there's this other guy that we also call a hockey robot, and everybody's problem with him is that he's not really friendly. So I think that's Min failing once again to understand narrative or social emotional relationships. But that is something that I learned.
I really hope, for his sake, that this is all I'll say about Connor Bedard, and then I will never talk about him again, probably. I hope he gets more of the Nuge treatment, where like he has like a rough first couple of years, and then everybody stops caring about him so much, and he can just be a really strong, solid leader on his team and live his life, and people can focus on the next hockey robot named Connor.
Oh, God. I also learned, this is a legitimate thing I learned today, that the Stalls are good at hockey. This is not a thing I knew. Apparently, there are like multiple Stanley Cups between them, and they were drafted really highly. I just knew they hated gay people. I assumed that meant that they were bad at hockey. I was like, well, you hate the gays. You must suck on the ice. I legitimately no idea that they were good players. And then I was listening to a podcast to prep for this show, and I was like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, one of them was often commented as being one of the players in the room for the Panthers who had cup experience. But I still stand by the fact that if you hate the gays, you're bad at hockey. So you're correct in my mind.
I was like, wow, that's a twist I didn't see coming.
I would like to share for the audience, we are currently at an hour 12, and we are like maybe 60% of the way through our show doc. So this probably will run for a full 2 hours. You're welcome.
Yeah, you said that at the top of the show, and I was like, I love you so much. We have never had a conversation that lasted less than 2 hours.
You're so right. You're so right. And now I'm going to jump in to my segment that's called Baby Squid to Look Out For. I was going to prep for this, and then I was prepping 5 million other things for this show, so I didn't. And we're just gonna wing it. And
being a squid.
And squid, and see how it goes. Listen, I did not need to be called out like this.
I do have a clarifying question before you start. Are we using squid in the singular or plural? Is squid plural? Are there multiple squid?
I've been using squid and squids interchangeably.
Okay,
so
cool.
I don't know.
Okay, awesome.
This is plural. There are multiples. I'm gonna start with the obvious ones. Shane Wright, he got a couple games this season. He did the things. He was great with the Firebirds. He's very comfortable with his role in like professional hockey coming in. I think he's going to adjust very easily. He also had the largest signature on this page, this giant one right here that's Shane Wright. He was the last person to sign this and just really went for it. And I respect that. um, and then the other one I think is really obvious, but I'm going to talk a lot more about him because I adore him. It's Nelly or Ty Nelson. He's been around. He was at Dove Camp last year. He came back this year. And one of the first things I noticed when like he was on the ice was what good vibes he had. He was always talking with a bunch of people, making sure everybody knew what they were doing, where they were supposed to be, helping out, correcting if they needed to change things up to make a drill work. Just, all around good vibes, great leadership. And then during the scrimmage, he was just like really bringing the energy. There's a clip going around the Kraken socials of him mic'd up during the scrimmage. I highly recommend everybody watch it because it's hilarious. During that game, at one point, he lays full out to block a shot and blocks it successfully. But just randomly during the game, I was like, oh, Nelly's just splayed out across the ice. We're going for it. It's a scrimmage. I see the vibes. And then during the break or whatever, he went up and was tugging on Shane's jersey or whatever and trying to get his attention. And it was really funny to watch live. And then I saw the audio of that moment, and it's even funnier with the context. So that was just fun. And he was just again, great presence, chatting with everybody, really comfortable with being approached, and just has really strong leadership vibes. I think he's going to be a great up and coming leadership person in the room for the Kraken. So that's fun. Who else did I have thoughts about? Oh, I have to talk about Forcial, who's now that Frodes has fucked off to Switzerland, has now become my emotional support Swede. And he's adorable. Very young, you know, kind of reserved, but I did, I was like, big fan. And he just kind of awkwardly laughed it off, and I love that for him. But he looks really solid. I really liked him, Mulgard, and oh gosh, Raykampf together. The three of them, I think, would make a really fun and interesting line. I say I know anything about the sport of hockey. No, that's a lie. I wanted Charlotte, Mulgard, and Raykampf on a line together. Charlotte was the first round draft pick. He looked really solid. He wasn't a big fan of his performance the first open day. However, I thought he looked solid, so I don't know what that was about. Nyman, I would be really interesting to see where he goes. I think he had a little bit of a struggle. He looked way more solid on the scrimmage, but I think he will have a big upward climb in his quality of play. Any others? Oh, David Goyette, I'm saying mostly because he was the only person out of all of the players who came out and chatted to people who introduced himself by his name. And I just really respect that. Yeah, I think everybody else. Oh, what's his name? Ben Roger is another one I think you should look out for. Not because I know anything about him at all. I just know that at one point, a little boy behind me was very excited and was like, "Go Roger!" And I was like, "You know what? Fuck yeah, go Roger." So we're keeping an eye on Ben Roger because of that little kid. And yeah, just like overall, really solid. Wisdom, I think will be really good. Allison Bestie has been having a fun coming up with hashtags for him, so that's cool. And shout out to the 2 Finnish goalies that the Kraken have in the pipeline. I like both of them. I mean, I like all the goalies, but specifically the 2 Finns. I thought they were really fun. Um, do I have any other thoughts? I have so many, and I don't think anybody cares about Goya, Dragovic, Furcus, and Wright together were also really fun. So we'll see what goes on with them. Do you have any questions for me about baby squids? No thoughts.
No.
Just vibes.
Just vibes. I will support whoever you want me to support, my love.
Heck yeah. All right. Do you have a topic you want to talk about, or do you want to jump into the PowerPoints?
You know, I was gonna come up with a topic, and I still haven't done that. So we should probably do PowerPoints instead.
All right, I'm gonna make you go first because I've been talking a lot.
Okay, so I will say that I made this PowerPoint in give or take 10 minutes. I'm not even sure what's in this PowerPoint. It's gonna be real quick, but I wanted Sly to have to guess the names of some pets. So
Yeah.
here we go. I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay, first, this is a pet. He was the first one, so I had time to make him a little bio. And he prioritizes cuddles and foods above all else. And he was named after a comic book character, and he loves salmon, and he dislikes anyone who takes his mom's attention away. Who is this pet?
I know this pet very well. I see this pet often. This is Tommy.
This is Tommy. Yeah, you're right. Woo! Okay, this is a pet. Wow, we skipped ahead. This is a pet. This pet got no bio, but he did get 3 pictures.
Is that, oh God, I don't know his name. Is that Dry's little dog?
Bowie, yeah.
Bowie! I knew it started with a B.
There's a quote in there's a quote from something about this dog, and I was gonna put it's like, yeah, and it's the greatest dog in the whole world. I'll send it. You'll know it when you see it. And I was gonna put it on the slide as a jump scare, and I didn't get time to. So we're safe from that. Okay, this is kind of a trick question, but who is this pet?
Oh boy. This is from a certain company I recognize. And I'm assuming you weren't going to trick me and put somebody in here twice. So my guess is that this is Sassy.
This is me.
That's you.
This child was asked to draw a picture of their teacher, and I said, no, not for your teacher, of your teacher. And they said, yes, this is teacher Alexis. So that's me.
Oh, I love that. That's even better. Yeah. Oh, we love teacher Alexis.
I also love that you were like, I'm assuming that you weren't going to trick me, because the original conceit of this PowerPoint was just 10 pictures of Tommy. I will get so annoyed with me if I picture 4. So I scrapped that plan. Okay, who's this pet? Please know that I had to look up the name of this pet.
Is this Lenny?
Yes.
I have no idea what he looks like.
There was a little blurb that I was writing about how you may not know much about him because he's just basically likes white bread, but I didn't get time to write all that out. I was gonna happen. That's Lenny. Woo! Okay. This pet also got a little bio. Okay, so this pet spends 16.9% of their time taking secret naps and 16 point something percent of their time plotting to destroy the world, and 33.3% of their time practicing spycraft, 16.7% of their time competing in underground fight clubs, and 16 point something percent of the time eating yummy snacks. Who is this pet?
This is a trick question because Tommy is in the background, but that is Sassy.
Sassy! Yeah.
Oh,
who's this pet? Hold on. What do those pets have in common? I have no fucking idea. I was just like, who are pets I can think of? And we should be concerned that what came to the first thought of my mind was my pets, 2 dogs, and a fictional cat.
Oh, I love everything about that. Thank you so much for making that for me personally.
You are so welcome.
All right. My PowerPoint is also a game, but mine is Who's That Squid?
So fucking bad at this game. Okay, I do need to tell you. Oh God, now I can't remember the man's name. Okay, you're gonna get very upset at me over this.
Okay.
But as a disclaimer for how bad I'm going to be at this game, dear viewers, until an hour before this podcast, I thought Jamie Bin was on this team.
Okay. So listen, this PowerPoint is way too long, and I apologize in advance. And I did not get it to include as many people as I wanted, and it's already 20 slides, and some people just had to be cut. So my Alexis wins if she correctly names one, and I will be very, very happy if Alexis gets maybe like 5 out of the 20. So that's what we're going for, okay?
Okay.
Starting off strong, we have number 38. He's a forward. And the fun fact is that this is an honorable mention. Who is that squid?
It's an honorable mention. I'm annoyed
because like 15 times on this podcast.
I'm annoyed because I know who this person is. Like, I've seen their face. I wanted to say that this was a Maddie, but I feel like that
an
is the wrong
entire app because of him this week.
I have no idea.
This is my close personal friend, Jesper Froden.
God, yeah, we were not going to get there. Nice to meet you, Jesper.
My close personal friend I love so dearly, who's playing for the Lions next season, and I'm having perfectly normal feelings about it.
Oh, that's the Bessie who left. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. All right, next we have one of our alternates. He's number 37. He's a forward, and his fun fact is he went undrafted and is now killing it in the NHL. This Kraken is Yanni Gord. All right, next up we have another alternate. Number 17. He's a forward, and his fun fact is that he had
God. Keep talking. Keep going.
Franchise playoff goal in the history of the Kraken this year against the Avs. This player is
this isn't Schwartz, is it?
Jaden Schwartz.
Okay.
We got one. All right, next up we have another of our alternates.
Yeah, I know this man too, and I'm not gonna know his name.
He's number 7. He's a forward, and he has the cutest daughter ever. This is
God. Hang on. Oh God. I have no idea. It's like His first name starts with a J.
Uh-huh.
And I want to say that his last name was like Ernie something. That doesn't sound right.
Close.
Okay.
This is Ebbs,
Okay.
Jordan Eberly. Woo! We'll count it. We already have 2. Let's go. All right. Next up, we have another alternate. He's number 6. He's a defender. And his fun fact is, you better know this one, I swear to God.
Jesus Christ. Do you know, is there anything else I get about him?
You better know him. I sent you a picture of his face blown up giant in the Kraken community.
Oh, this is Larson. Is this Larson? Okay, yeah. In that photo, for some reason to me, he looks like the guy that plays on the bear. Yeah. Okay.
This is Adam Larson, and I love him so much.
Fantastic.
All right. Next up, we have number 29.
Okay. Sorry.
He's the defender. And his fun fact is he worked really hard last summer just so he would get the chance to play with Lars. And we're so proud of him. And he finally got his contract signed. And we're so relieved and we were totally not super stressed out about it.
Oh. This is the man that I confuse with Winnie. This is Vince Dunn.
Yeah! For those playing along at home, Alexis now has 4 points.
I'm doing that's 4 times better than I thought I was gonna do.
All right. Next up, we have number 31. He's a goalie.
Oh,
I thought I updated this. Hold on. We're holding.
Okay.
Okay. This is number 31. He's a goalie. His fun fact is he's a horse girl. This
this does not look like who I thought it was.
Okay.
When this started, I thought this was Gruber.
It's Gruber.
Okay, yeah, that is not what his face looks like in my head at all. But that's great. I tried to study up for this, and by trying to study up for this, I mean I pulled up the roster and I memorized the name of one goalie because I knew this would come up.
His original not so fun fact is that he won a cup with the Caps and then was immediately traded to the Avs. And then I figured that just wasn't fitting the vibe. And so I changed it to him being a horse girl. And the Kraken very conveniently posted this picture of him on social media a couple hours ago where he's wearing friendship bracelets in front of a I Heart Taylor sign because Taylor Swift is in fact playing in Seattle this week. And it's like a week-long event in the city. Like the whole city is going balls to the walls for Taylor Swift. So that's a fun Seattle fact for everybody. What are we at? 5?
What is fascinating is the other fun fact was the one that I knew. That was the thing I have heard about.
I love that for you. Mm-hmm. All right. Next up.
Oh, is this Winnie?
This is number 21. He's a forward. Fun fact, he's a queer ally. Slay!
Oh, did not know that. That's news to me.
Especially his wife is like a big supporter of the queer community. And they do a lot of work with they did a big donation clothing drive for specifically homeless queer youth. And really great things. This is Lenny.
Yay! This is the one that I knew I would know. I was like, I'm gonna know one, and it's gonna be Alex Winberg because I watched an interview with him one time, and then I got mad that nobody listened to what he said.
All right, next up we have number 22. He's a forward. Fun fact: he's from Denmark, which is not a Swede, but he's still cool. This is.
I have no idea.
Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Fun fact, you can get from Sweden to Denmark on a train. For those of you who did not know, you can take a train. I was very excited to learn this news.
All right, next up we have number 19. He's a forward.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, all of his siblings have like all of them. It's a choice. This is
Well, I'm gonna
Kenner.
guess.
This is Jared McCann.
Okay.
And so when I was making this PowerPoint, I had to limit myself, so I said I would do 3 like lines basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I immediately broke that because he got injured in the playoffs and made way for number 52 to make his debut during the playoffs, and he scored a goal in his very first ever NHL game. This squid
Hang on. I know this man. Oh God, what is this fucker's name? Oh.
It's Ty Cartier.
Cool. I did know that fact though.
Also, fun fact, he won the Rookie of the Year in the AHL, which means that the Kraken had players who won Rookie of the Year in both the AHL and the NHL, because we're so cool like that.
That is a fun fact.
Number 4, he's a defender. His fun fact is he played for the Oilers from 2013 to 2016. This Kraken is...
This isn't Schultz. Okay.
It's Schultz!
Literally, if you would have been like, is this Schultz? I would have been like, no. Like, if I just saw the picture, like, I just knew that Schultz had played for the Oilers.
That's about all I know about him. All right, next up we have number 24. He's a defender. And his fun fact is that his sister is way cooler than him. She's an Olympic swimmer and has 7 Olympic medals, which makes her the most highly medaled Canadian athlete. And she's very cool. This Kraken is Penny's sister, Jamie Alexiak.
Congratulations on having such a great sister, my guy.
Right? All right, next up is number 60. He's a goalie.
Oh, God. He's the other one.
Fact is that his goalie mask has art from a local artist that has tributes to Nirvana and Pearl Jam on the side of it, and the art's really fucking cool. This Kraken is...
I know. I have no idea.
Trees.
No, that was not the one I was going to guess. So I'm...
All right, next up, number 10. He's a forward. And his fun fact is he had 4 PIMs total in his rookie year. That is 1 penalty in the entirety of the regular season and 1 penalty in the playoffs. And he absolutely should have been nominated for Lady Byng this year and was not. And I'm totally not salty about it.
This isn't Maddie Beniers.
This is Maddie Beniers.
Okay, cool. I learned that fun fact in something I read.
Oh my God. I need to know what you read that in, because I have not read that.
Yeah.
All right. This is number 56, question mark. He's a forward, and his fun fact is that he is the first franchise player to sign with the Kraken who was born in Washington.
When was he signed? Do I know this man?
You should know this man very well.
Is this Yemo?
This is Kyler Yemo.
He looks completely different in that photo than he does with gear on. Okay, great. Fantastic.
For those playing along at home, Alexis does have 10 points, which is double what I expected.
And it it may be saving my marriage.
All right, this is number 13. He's a forward. And his fun fact is he's known for his ghost eyes in his headshots. This Kraken is Turbo!
Oh, I did know you.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever would have known your name. I would have thought your name was Turbo, but good to see you have a name.
The other fun fact that I almost put was he often has to get his skate blades sanded down because he goes too fast.
I've seen a video of this. Yes, I know you. I know you.
We love Turbo in this household. All right, next up, we have number 3. He's a defender, and his fun fact, apparently his favorite movie is Wedding Crashers.
That's not a fun fact. That's like saying a fun fact is my favorite Taylor Swift song is Love Story.
And the other thing was this was pulled from like one of like the Kraken social media graphics, and the other thing on that graphic was I can't remember if it was like last TV show you watched or favorite TV show, something about TV shows, and the answer was Game of Thrones, and I really judged him for that. This is Will Morgan.
Nice to meet you, Will.
All right, next up we have number 8. He's a defender, and his fun fact is that in his debut game with the Kraken, he played as his brother's defensive partner.
Oh, I know this story. I do not know what his name is. I do know this story.
The previous fun fact before I changed it to this was that he's often referred to by the social media admins of the Kraken by 2 emojis, and one of them is lettuce and one of them is like a snowstorm. This is Kale Flurry.
Yeah.
All right, I'm giving you a point for that one.
Fantastic. Love
All
that.
right. Next up, I got number 35. He's a goalie.
Oh, fuck.
And his fun fact is he's the unofficial mayor of the entire Coachella Valley. This is...
is this Deckwood or was Deckwood
Joy Deckwood?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Woo!
Good for me for memorizing 2 goalies' names and not knowing which one was which.
That is a entire 12 points out of 20. I am so proud of you.
I'm so proud of me. Also, when I was researching this earlier, I realized, and you have said this to me before, and I was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's a fun fact, but like I didn't have context for it. Are you aware that you have like 72 centers? There are like 1,000 centers on your team.
I had a breakdown to you about this like a month ago.
Yeah, and I remembered, I was like, this is the thing that Sly said. I guess in my head, that wasn't like the roster. Like that was like, I don't know. And I was going to try to memorize. I was just going to memorize names and like try to apply them to people. And then I got to the center list and I was like, there's no fucking way that's happening. There's like 1,000 of you. Why?
For the record, the Wenbergs are often noted as the hottest couple in hockey, period. And they know it. Like they look great. They were at like a friend's wedding a couple weeks ago or whatever. Fabulous. We stan the Wenbergs. Turbo does have great flow. That's another thing he's known for. But especially the ghost eyes in his headshot the year prior, and then when he came to Seattle, recreated that in this year's headshot. And that's just so important to me personally.
We love that for him.
We really do. All right, I've been talking so much. So let's get to some of our listener questions before I do my segment.
God. I forgot we had those. I was like, I'm gonna have to come up with a topic really fast. And honest to God, I don't know what that topic is gonna be. Okay. Listener questions are great. This is good for people for asking those.
Yeah, shout out to our biggest fans for submitting a bunch of questions.
The biggest fans, Liz and Marissa.
Yeah.
Who honestly, like, thank God we don't have an HR department because I would be fired after this episode.
Can you take the first question?
Yes. The first question is, okay, can you explain hockey like you're a writer on 911? And the answer to that is no, I can't. Because I started, and you don't want to know where my draft of this was. It basically started with there being like one player would have to be hypersexualized, and then that would have to be like undone and redone for the next 5 seasons. And then I was like, no, how hockey would be explained is that hockey would be a sport where everybody was doing really well and making a lot of progress. And then all of that progress would be forgotten. And we would start back at like 1989, like the miracle back in season 4. And we would just go forward as if nothing happened. So my answer is no. I cannot answer the spirit of this question.
I also saw that question and said no, because I don't think the writers of 911 could explain hockey.
They hardly explained figure skating.
Yeah, they that one episode where they did feature people on ice, it certainly was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
however, Leverage, which had a standing writers' room, which promoted its writers, WGA, it's WGA writers, unlike all of you other meanie companies out there, they explained hockey well because they had writers in the room from Portland. That's important to me personally. Okay.
I love that for you. All right, our next question from a big fan of the show, Liz. What hockey teams would Buddy play on?
And I had one answer to this. I did not have an answer for Eddie.
That is so fair. I do have an answer for this one, and that is that Buck would play for the Florida Panthers, and Eddie. I hadn't decided which team, but Eddie would play for an original 6 team and deal with the crushing pressure and horrible markets. I'm thinking like maybe a Detroit.
Oh yeah. The only caveat I had for Buck was that I think the way that this needs to go is that Buck goes straight to Florida from Pennsylvania. I think there has to be a winter weather to God, the world is not dark and gloomy all the time pipeline. Like if he was in California, I don't know that he would go to Florida. You know what I mean?
One exception to that is I think still give him the road trip where he goes to like Colorado and does the like cowboy thing and then goes down to Peru or whatever. But still that'd be like his first time living somewhere more. Absolutely.
Yes. I also had a whole plot for if he stayed in Pennsylvania, but we won't get into that live on air. What's next?
Which Taylor Swift era are all the ensemble characters on 911? Yeah, okay, let's see. Debut? Eddie? Sure. Fearless. I'm giving this to Chris.
Sure, go for it.
What's next? Speak Now?
Speak Now. I'll just sing them all and you can do the hard work. Yeah.
I don't know Taylor Swift. Like you're the Taylor Swift girly.
No, because this is implying that I know people and I don't know people.
Okay, how about this? We'll just make JJ answer them. Apparently May is 1989, Eddie is Red, and Chris's Reputation. Great, we answered it. You're welcome, Liz.
Fantastic. I was going to give Lover to Hen and Karen. I think that's probably a bad choice, but that's the only one I had any sort of an answer for.
I would give it to Karen.
Great. Great.
Period. All right. And then Liz said, walk us through an average day in your marriage. And I wrote out my perception of an average day of our marriage. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on what I wrote out.
What is funny is I saw the beginning of yours and I was like, no, that is not correct. So I saw this first point, like only the first point. And I was like, no, that's not right. Because what actually happens is that Sly wakes up to a million texts from me. And then I read the second point and was like, no, that's pretty accurate.
So for the people listening at home, what were the points?
Okay, the first point was that I wake up to a million texts from Sly and respond to them. And that is true. That is the thing that I do. And that is the thing that I love very much. And then the second point was that Sly wakes up to a million replies from Alexis, which is something I tried to stop doing because Sly does not like waking up to 1,000 text messages, but it gave me more anxiety to not respond.
The exposure therapy has been working wonders. I no longer panic when I wake up to a million text messages.
I even wrote myself like a post-it note and I stuck it on my phone and then I woke up and took it off and replied. I was like,
yeah, no, when I wake up to a million text messages, my first thought is that somebody died. However, we've been doing this long enough that that's no longer the first thought. And now it's just, what's Alexis have to say about all my thoughts?
Although sometimes one of the messages is, you live? Question mark. Then it says, Alexis gets running commentary on everything Sly is doing. And that is true. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things. And then it says, Sly gets absurd stories about people being stupid, which I didn't want to be true, but is absolutely true. Okay, there was this video I saw one time about neurodivergent people and how we have a tendency to, like, when we like love people, to be like, hi, I found this shiny thing, here you go, right? Like we pebble. And my version of that is like, I got hit on by a stalker lesbian at work and you need to hear about it at 8:00 in the morning.
Which I did hear about at 8:00 in the morning and it was hilarious.
What's next? One of or both of us have a breakdown. I would like to argue with that, but I can't because today I had like 3 of them.
I also had like 3 of them.
Yeah,
we're doing great. We're
doing wonderful. Mm-hmm. What is not mentioned on here is that usually around the breakdown point, Sly does have to remind Alexis about a fact that Alexis should know about herself. Like Sly has to be like, don't you have an autoimmune disorder? And then I have to be like, yeah, that is accurate. Whoops. That usually happens in there somewhere. Or I'll be like, I can't remember anything. It's like, we'll be like, do you not have ADHD? And I'll be like, shut up. I don't know what you're talking about. Then there are random links or screenshots of fanfics we're reading, usually without any sort of context or warning.
Almost exclusively with 0 context or warning.
It could be completely like, it could be like lettuce tastes good, period. Or it could be the filthiest thing that you've ever read. And like it all ends up in the same text. Next, Alexis goes to bed. Lately, Alexis has been fighting going to bed, but Alexis goes to bed. And then Sly proceeds to spam her with every thought that comes into their head. And what I love about that is some of them are like thesis statements. Like, it's like, I've like fixed world peace. Like, I've figured it out. And then some of them will be like, socks are really weird, bro. And I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Accurate, yeah.
So that's an average day in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct.
All right. From our second biggest fan, Marissa asks, how would you plan Liz's birthday party?
my response to this was, okay, so I'm one of those people that has always wanted a surprise party that I knew everything about. So I've always wanted somebody to plan me a surprise party, but to tell me that they're planning me a surprise party. And Liz is the same energy. So I'm like, I don't know that I think Liz would want to plan her own party and just pretend like she wasn't. But I think it would involve a lot of pink, and it would involve a lot of gluten-free dishes. Maybe just McDonald's for everyone.
I think Liz is the kind of person who wants a surprise but needs all of the logistics. So like doesn't know where we're going, but knows the dress code. Doesn't know like what activities are happening, but knows the time frame. Like that kind of surprise. And then I was trying to think of a place that you could host a birthday party that would match Liz's habit of collecting a bunch of very different people in her life.
And your answer was the Pint in Halifax?
Close. My answer was like a barcade or something where there's like a bunch of different like small rooms where people can cluster and gather, and Liz can just like float between all of the groups.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah. I think that's a great answer. Yeah.
It's very, here's the plan, please execute the plan with hourly updates. Yes. Exactly. Okay, this one I have to defer to you on. Marissa asks, if I were a cat person, what kind of cat should I have?
She should have an orange cat, and I'm not going to elaborate on that. Like, that is the truest. Yeah, that is she should have an orange cat. Full stop. That's all the information I'm giving there. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Okay, next up, another Taylor Swift album vibes question. Figure skating or hockey, where we go through each Taylor Swift album and say if it's figure skating or hockey.
My problem with this is that I have opinions, and I think they are all very hot takes. Like, I don't think a single one of them is an opinion that anybody else is going to agree with.
That means I need to hear all of them right now immediately.
Okay. So I pulled up a list of the order of the albums, but the list that I pulled up I don't think is correct. Because I don't see everything on here. Okay. I started with Fearless. To me, Fearless is a hockey album, and it just is. I just think that it is. I think I didn't decide on Speak Now. Red was definitely a figure skating album to me, and so was Reputation. 1989, I'm going to give to Hockey. I didn't really have an opinion on that one. Hockey or Lover, I gave to Hockey for selfish reasons. I think that can go either way. Folklore, I gave to Hockey because of the Affair song, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Evermore, I gave to Ice Skating, and Midnights, I gave to Ice Skating.
Okay. I would say debut, Hockey, Fearless. I feel like could go other way, but you said Hockey, so I'm going to say figure skating, so we cover all of our bases.
Fantastic.
Speak Now, Hockey, Red, figure skating. 1989. Oh, I feel like could go either way, but I'm gonna give it to figure skating. Reputation, Hockey, Lover. You said Hockey, so I'm going figure skating because I have no thoughts. Folklore absolutely is Hockey, and Evermore I would give to figure skating, and then Midnights I would give to I don't know, some sort of obscure out there. Oh, you know what? No, I'm giving Midnights to women's hockey. That's what I'm giving it to.
I will say this is not a hot take. I gave Evermore and Folklore to the outdoor versions of their sports, respectively. And I don't think we talk enough about fun outdoor hockey and the drama that happens at fun outdoor all-star game hockey related activities.
Okay. I love that for you. Our last question from Marissa. Who should they make a biographical musical about next? And my answer was selfishly Alexander Graham Bell, but not about anything he did because his philosophies are like eugenics at best. And I want a musical about how much of a horrible person he is, so I can stop being forced to deal with people who think like he had like good ideas when he was just like a big fan of eugenics, because anybody who's a big fan of that did not have any good ideas. And anything you you invent to fix and cure people because you married somebody and you hate them is just not the vibe. So all the reasons why Alexander Graham Bell is a horrible person, the musical, for me personally.
Please know that when you started that with Alexander, my mind filled in Hamilton, and I was like, you do know that's already a musical. Mine was...
Oh my gosh. Jen Coella did a Thomas Edison rock musical. I did not know that. I love that.
That's a choice. I mean, a Thomas Edison rock musical is a choice. I know. My instinct reaction was to say Judith Exner Campbell. But that is my instinct. I want more. I want, like, it could be anything. It could be like, Alexis, who should we write a newspaper crossword about? And my answer would be Judith Exner Campbell. I think the problem with a biographical musical about her is that I don't know that we are in the place where that could be done well. I have a feeling that would focus too much on the men in her life. Like, I see a Judith Exner Campbell musical as falling in like the Bombshell in Smash situation, where like there was an there was a biographical version, and then there was like the fun version that was gonna sell. I think that would happen with a Judith Campbell musical because it involves the mob and it involves JFK and like all of those things. But that was my response.
I love that for you. All right. To finish us off, to round us out, we are at the 2-hour mark. So,
you know, definitely brought this in an hour.
Yeah, you know, I was basing that off of Liz and Alexis's episodes talking about a certain animated struck work that they did not care for, and their episodes ran about an hour with 2 people, and I was like, that's totally what we're gonna do today. And then we created 5 million segments. So this is the first edition of Sly's Guide to the World Cup.
Oh, thank God, I'm so excited about this. Okay.
Disclaimer. I've never watched professional hockey. I put it in the soccer.
Because I was like, either that is Sly being self-deprecating or it's a mistake. But like, it could go either way.
I've never watched professional soccer before yesterday. So now I'm gonna mansplain the World Cup to you. If you didn't know, FIFA, fun fact, is not just a video game franchise. It is an actual tournament that happens. And there's the World Cup, and there's the Men's World Cup. We don't care about the second one. So we're just talking about the real World Cup here. And I am going into this as a person who casually played like school soccer for a couple years, and never really cared much for watching it, and I had fun playing it, but it's long and boring, and apparently I have an ADHD, and it wasn't the vibe. Shocking news, I know. And JJ loves soccer so much. And I'm saying soccer because when I eventually force people to do a sports show with me, I'm sure we will talk about American football. And I just don't want to be confusing. That's what we call it. Deal with it. I'm not sorry. Anyways, what was I saying? I have no idea. Anyways, JJ loves specifically women's soccer. I love Sue Bird and Mrs. Sue Bird. And so I was like, this is a great year to start watching the World Cup because it's her retirement year, and all that jazz. And I just wanted to, for the people who might be like, I like queer people, or I like looking at pretty women and kind of want to watch the World Cup, but don't know how to watch a like bracket tournament type thing. I got you, fam. Because if there's one thing I know how to do, it's watch sports that I know nothing about, apparently. Um, and I've always kind of watched, especially like tournament brackets, in a very specific way, and then recently discovered some excellent terminology, a relationship metaphor, if you will, from the hosts over on Beginner's Puck for like how to discuss all of the people you are watching and caring about when you are enjoying, especially a like bracket style tournament. So you have your team, and this is like your husband. You're committed, you're faithful. It's the team of the place where you're from, or your family is from, or you have some sort of history and connection with the community and or the organization. So for my sake, in the World Cup, this is the US. Big fan of Megan Rapinoe. Is that the only US soccer player I can name? Pretty much, but that's fine. So the US,
no problem with that.
that's my home team. I did watch US versus Vietnam. It was very good. It was very fun. And I did have to just like not feel bad about checking out like occasionally because I was still having a great time, and that is valid. Um and so okay, that's your main team. And then you got to have a side piece, right? You got to somebody you're also a big fan of watching, following, and for me this is going to be Canada. Yay Liz, yay Quinn, who is a non-binary soccer player who also plays on the OL Reign, the one near me with Megan Rapinoe. I know a whole two soccer players to be proud. And so they play for Canada, and Canada's great, and we love apparently go Canada. So that's my side piece. And then you gotta have your heart team. A beginner's puck calls this your hockey boyfriend. What's the team that you love so dearly and watch for the vibes, and just kind of there to get you through being so overly emotionally invested in your husband team. And unfortunately for us during the hockey playoffs, that was one Florida Panthers. I like how that turned out for us.
I love that you said that.
However,
I switched that. For me, it was the Seattle Kraken.
well, the Seattle Kraken was my home team. So,
yeah.
but yeah. So my boyfriend team is Sweden because we are nothing if not
What?
consistent to the bit. And I have to stay on brand. So yes, Beginner's Pack did originate the terminology for how we broke this down on Thursday.
Stay on Beginner's Puck.
Yeah, we big fans. England versus Haiti is going on right now. Alex Morgan, that is the name I learned this week. England or Ireland, that's very exciting. Love that for you. But yeah, so that's how, if you want to follow a tournament, I suggest you always follow around 3 to 4 teams, because that way you can still experience some joy at some point in your life. And it will make you much more willing to follow the sport in general. So that is sly mansplaining how to watch the World Cup to people who know way more about everything than they do. Woo! With that, we did a show. High five. Where are you? You're on this side. High five.
What? I still gotta work. My response to that was to be like, good job.
So proud of us for doing that.
We're the
Thank
best.
you. We're the best. We did so good. We had so much fun. Thank you, everyone who joined us live, for going on this Bag of Cats episode with us. We appreciate you so, so dearly. If you're watching the replay, we love you too. We see you. Keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for joining us on this 2 hours and 10 minutes of pure chaos. Of course, our usual co-hosts, Liz and Marissa, are out on vacation this week, but make sure to follow everything they're doing and talking about at producer Liz and at Missa Bobissa, respectively, and just give them all the love. Of course, you can find Alexis and I theoretically on the internet, but instead of doing that, just go check out our show accounts at AfterPartySHO. If you see any random replies on Twitter, that is Alexis being very funny, and please go hype them up because they make me very happy.
Panda Express and I are best friends.
And I'm only mildly offended at Panda Express about it. But yes, make sure to check out After Party Show on all the socials. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, hit that like, share it with a friend. You know, we have a lot of great things. We planned an entire content calendar, and then a strike happened, and that's fine. And we are so, so happy that unions are doing the work to get people fair contracts and livable wages. However, that means we got very little clue what the rest of our year is going to look like now. So we really, really appreciate you all hanging out and enjoying what we're doing, even when it is not centered around the usual media analysis. We'll still bring you the pop culture breakdowns, all of the things we've been enjoying as we move forward. But with that, thank you so much for joining us. Alexis, do you have any final words?
No.
No words. You get no more words. Thank you all for joining us. Love you. Bye.